Here are 5 things we learned from the Premier League this weekend. We're going to be talking about Liverpool's fine form, the Chelsea-Arsenal game, and a few other bits in the Premier League. We have to start off a little bit lower in the table today. West Ham United, a boring 0-0 draw against Everton. To be fair, both sides had chances, but it's a result that I think has marked Lopetegui's card. You're seeing West Ham fans coming out in the media. There's a guy on TalkSport talking about the soullessness of West Ham at the moment, talking about West Ham being an expensive mess. They're just below Manchester United, who sacked their manager, obviously different circumstances, and only a couple of points above Leicester City, who I feel many people think are going to get relegated. So that's the kind of form that West Ham are in. They've made a lot of signings. I think the one that stands out for me is Somerville, who was decent against Everton actually, and put in an unbelievable tackle to stop Everton actually going 1-0 up. Could have probably been 1-0 Everton really based on chances. And I think Lopetegui's gone. You look at West Ham's next few games, it's tough. I mean, the international break, I think I would get rid of him now. Obviously, you can never condone kind of sackings or people losing their job. But if you're the West Ham fan base, I think you're looking at Newcastle United, Arsenal, and then Leicester City. You know, if West Ham don't win a game there, they've only won 3 games all season. I think they're in a world of pain. I really do. The issue is that Lopetegui's come in. It's a side that have given him loads of money, loads of investment, built on a side that was already fantastic with the likes of Kudus and players like that involved, Jared Bowen. And it feels just very, very flat. I think he's a little bit dry. I think West Ham fans, I was chatting to a West Ham fan a couple of weekends ago, and he said he did the away trip. I can't remember which stadium. And Lopetegui just went down the tunnel at the end of the game, and he doesn't kind of go over to the fans. I think West Ham is one of the easiest jobs you're ever going to get. It's a big club. It's a passionate club. But you can treat the West Ham fans right, and they'll treat you right, in my opinion. I think they're very, very loyal. I don't think they're very fickle either. And ultimately, Lopetegui is a little bit remote and a little bit isolated, in my honest opinion. And then you look at some of the names that could replace him. Graham Potter is the standout. He's doing a lot of Sky Sports media at the moment. And you do think he's kind of maybe putting himself in the shop window. Sometimes you see managers doing a lot of, Monday Night Football, Sky Sports, putting themselves in the window a little bit. Mourinho had a little spell of that, doing a lot of talk sports shows. And you feel that Graham Potter would be great at West Ham. The English connection there, and obviously playing that brand of football that he was so good at Brighton. I think West Ham fans would love Graham Potter. I think that's his level right now, Graham Potter as well. So we have to start off with West Ham. I think they're going to sack Lopetegui. I think it was a terrible result against Everton. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I have to talk about Liverpool's amazing result against Aston Villa. I covered it on the channel and talked about the goals. But I'm going to talk about more of a kind of macro perspective of Liverpool's title challenge at the moment. 9 points clear of Arsenal. Arsenal can't get any steam, motivation going, any wins on the board, crucially. Neither, obviously, can Manchester City. And then you look at the kind of a macro perspective of the side and who's actually performing for Liverpool. Because right now, let's just take Arsenal as an example. They played, obviously, last night, a recent example. You say Saka's in good form. Odegaard looks a little bit unfit, just come back. The defence, conceding goals. The keeper's doing all right, but there's no standout performers. In this Liverpool side, I think you could argue there's 6 or 7 players operating at world-class form. I think Konate, who's not even the best centre-back at Liverpool, is right up there on form. I think he's the best centre-back in the league on form alongside Virgil van Dijk. You've got those 2. Kelleher's in fine form. Obviously just a backup keeper for now. Ryan Gravenberch was pulling strings against Aston Villa. It was outrageous. I think Curtis Jones has been in very, very, very good form. The way he moves the ball, the way he carries the ball, and his work rate is absolutely electric. And I think it's everything that Liverpool stand for on some level. And obviously an academy product. So he's in fine form. I think the fullbacks are great, whether it's Tsimikas, Robertson or Trent. I think Trent's in really, really good form. And then you look at the front 3. So that adds another 3 players to the list that I've just given you. We're talking 7 or 8 players that are operating at top level. This isn't a Liverpool side that are sleepwalking 9 points clear of Arsenal. They're a side that are steamrolling sides. They really are. And the big one has to be the front 3, because Arsenal don't have a dangerous front 3. City have got a dangerous striker and not a dangerous front 3 at the moment based on form. I like Savinho a lot, but this front 3 is more than good enough to win Liverpool the Premier League title. Make no doubt about it. The connection between Salah, between Nunes, between Diaz is absolutely outrageous. And you could see the side really just going over the top and just dominating sides, even if sometimes they concede a couple or they're a little bit open, which isn't always happening. They're keeping a lot of clean sheets. But if that was to happen, I think Liverpool can go toe-to-toe with anyone for goals. I think it's the best front three in world football, and it's the most dangerous front three in world football. So we have to talk about Liverpool's fine form. They're top of the table. The international break gives you an extra couple of weeks. You'll be looking up at the start of December. They could easily be 11 points clear, 12 points clear of Arsenal, and City could be a little bit closer, but even further away compared to last season. Very, very concerning if you're a rival fan, of course, but you have to just talk about Liverpool's form. Throughout the side, they are balanced, they're controlling games, and they're all operating at world-class form. Talk about Ipswich's fine win against Tottenham Hotspur. Obviously, Tottenham are handing out wins to sides this season. Very up and down. One win, then a loss, then a win, then a loss. I mean, the side that beat Villa, you thought they were going to go on a little run and maybe catch up to the likes of Nottingham Forest that are above them, and obviously Chelsea and Arsenal. And they just failed to do that. And Ipswich were a little bit on the ropes at points. Spurs definitely had chances, but the goals that they scored, Smosdick, is unbelievable. I butchered his name. I apologise. But the finish, the little bicycle kick, the lap getting into great little positions. I know it was basically an open net that he scored from, but getting into fantastic positions, notching up goals throughout the season. And I'm glad for Kieran McKenna, because Southampton, I look at Southampton every week and I think, yeah, they're getting relegated. Dare I say it, Leicester City. As much as I don't want them to get relegated, I actually kind of want Leicester in the league. Southampton, the one you think, yeah, they're nowhere near good enough, and I can't wait till they get relegated. But Ipswich, I think, have performed really, really well. Even against Liverpool on the first day of the season, even against Man City, they scored early. I think they're just one of those sides. Sometimes a side can get promoted, show enough quality to stay in the league, but they just don't get the results because they're trying to learn, they're trying to fine-tune things. And I think they're going to finish the season strong. It wouldn't surprise me in January if they go in for a couple of players as well and try and make sure that they stay in the league. And getting a win against Spurs, their first win of the season, and putting themselves ahead of the likes of Crystal Palace, obviously Wolves now. I think Ipswich have put a lot of pressure on Glasner at Crystal Palace. A lot of his some of his transfers, some of his strategy clearly isn't working. And I think Ipswich have got a lot of momentum. I weirdly think there's only 4 sides that could get relegated. I think it's the 3 in the bottom now, Palace, Wolves and Southampton. And I think Ipswich will be in and around there. But I think they've got enough to stay in the league. I think they've got a little bit more energy. You'd say Crystal Palace have got a little bit more experience. But it wouldn't surprise me if Ipswich go on a bit of a run now. I back their philosophy. I back the way they're approaching these games. They don't feel naive. Southampton have been trying to play out from the back. Burnley last season playing out from the back. That there's a level of naivety. Ipswich have been trying to do their own thing, but at points they're a little bit more cautious and pragmatic, and they can hit sides on the counter-attack. And you feel that Southampton haven't got the ability to do that or the wherewithal to do it. Ipswich, I think, have done. And they've done very, very well to get a great win against Spurs. It's a big scout for Ipswich. It's one of the biggest moments in 20, 30 years for the club. It is, and I'm not trying to wind Ipswich fans up. It's the first win in top-flight football for 20 years, and fair play to them. We have to talk about Chelsea versus Arsenal. Obviously, Arsenal massively behind Liverpool now in the title race. I came out in my reaction and said there were some positives. You look at Odegaard, you look at Thomas Partey, who's fantastic in the game. Even Declan Rice with a broken toe. David Raya pulled off some decent saves. So there are some positives for Arsenal. Is it enough to win the Premier League? I'm not so sure. But I think the big concern would be, and you see a lot of Arsenal fans now coming out, certain Arsenal fans maybe on AFTV or DR Sports or whatever, and they make great observations, in my opinion, about the slow nature of Arsenal's progress. How can Maresca come in and create a side that are now above Arsenal? How can Arne Slot come in and create a side and tweak a side and get Liverpool back to the summit of English football? Whether they stay there or not, we can debate that. And they kind of have surpassed Arsenal. I think if Arsenal don't come top 3 and at least have a good run in one of the cups, Champions League included, FA Cup, I think you can just about have a bonus. I think if Arsenal came second this season with an FA Cup win, I think that is enough to kind of keep some fans happy. But if they came 4th this season with no kind of maturation in a cup kind of run, I think they're in a world of pain. And you are seeing sides that are kind of surpassing the momentum of what Arsenal have achieved in the last couple of seasons. And I go back to what Edu and all the guys in the kind of organisational part of the Arsenal club structure. Why not be bolder when you got the opportunity? Why not strike when the iron is hot? Why not make a bold prediction that City will fall off and City aren't going to win 5 in a row or are going to look weaker than last season? This is a City side that could have a big injury, and that happened. Why not go out and create a storm? Why not create an element of ruthlessness? Go out and get... Maybe he's not the right answer. Who knows? Because the Portuguese league is... an unknown kind of quantity. Sometimes it's a coin flip, in my opinion. If a player comes over, one can be Mangala, the other can be Luis Diaz, so we don't quite know. Why not get Gyökeres, just bid 80 mil? They're doing it on Pepe a couple of years ago. They've got the money in the bank. They're one of the most profitable, well-earning kind of clubs in European football. Why not get Victor Osimhen, just pay his big wages, get him on loan? Why is he in Galatasaray? There aren't many out there. But there were options for Arsenal, in my opinion. Not Sterling on loan. Raheem Sterling, spent force. We all knew he was a spent force. I thought it was a decent sign at the time. But now it's coming to fruition. We know he's a bit of a spent force. Not trusted in big games. And this Arsenal side, I think, have been caught lacking in terms of being progressive with their side, with the front three. Look at the energy of the Liverpool front three and the ruthlessness of it. Arsenal don't have that. They really don't. They've got decent squad fillers. I think Trossard, Martinelli, Havertz, they're decent. They'd be decent backups. Arsenal need world-class players going forward, and they didn't have that against Chelsea to really create the opportunity. I mean, look at it should have been 2-1 Arsenal. The way Trossard kind of flicks it wide last minute, basically should be scoring that. I think that says everything you need to know about Arsenal. They're a little bit side to side, a little bit predictable, and they're not clinical enough. We're going to wrap up on Manchester City. Obviously, such a disappointing final 20 minutes against Brighton. I think City have cause for optimism. I think there were moments where City could have been 2 or 3 up if Haaland's a little bit more maybe clinical, or the chance that gets fed into him is a little bit cleaner. But the final 20 minutes, I think if that happens against Spurs, as much as Spurs have been up and down, they are a bogey side for Man City, even when City are getting 100-point seasons and City going for trebles. Really, honestly, I think Spurs could be the final nail in the coffin. I really do. Because if City lose, I think City can maybe draw. Obviously, City's still second in the table. Nothing to be crazy about. But if you lose to Spurs, it could be 5 in a row. The law of averages says that shouldn't happen. But I think there's a world where Spurs do beat City. Feyenoord is a little bit easier after that. And then Liverpool. The next few weeks after the international break are absolutely huge for Man City. And it could be so early in the season to say. But the final challenger to Liverpool could be potentially over. If they're back-to-back losses. Spurs and Liverpool. Huge games. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you made it this far, thank you very much. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Would really appreciate it. Leave your thoughts down below about the Premier League's weekend's action. And I'll see you very, very soon.